Hey everybody, good morning, Robb. Today we're going to be doing a movie review of the movie Sullivan's Travels. I made a movie review about a month ago. Hello all my beautiful creatures. Joel McCrea's movie got a lot of people to watch that review and they liked it. And they asked me if I could do some more. And I said, okay. I love movies. In fact, I love comedy. I love comedy more than just about anything. And I thought it would be fun just to do movie reviews of comedy. So I went online and I looked at all the list of the top 100 comedies of all time that people have made over the years. 5 or 6 different lists. And most of the movies I had seen, but there were a few I had never watched or even heard of. And today we're doing one of those, Sullivan's Travels, 1941. The interesting thing is because I'm not familiar with the movie, and it's so long ago, I don't even know the actors and actresses, although I've heard of them. So I don't have any bias going in. Usually when you watch a movie that's current or contemporary, you know these people, when they walk on, they bring that air of experience that you've had with them in the past. So even though it's a different movie, a different character, you have a bias built in. Maybe it's a director you're familiar with. But in this case, I've certainly heard of the director, Preston Sturges, a famous film director. Joel McCrea, I've heard of him. And Veronica Lake is the actress in the movie, the main actress. And I only remember her from when I was a little kid, years and years ago. They would have these old, to me, cartoons, and they would be from the 30s and 40s, and they would parody the actors and actresses of that time. And I remember they had Veronica Lake, and she was famous for having like hair down one side of her face, like peekaboo over her eyes. That's all I knew about her. So the comedy is Sullivan's Travels. It's about a man, Joel McCrea, who is a famous comedy film director that doesn't want to make comedy anymore. He wants to make, because it's the 30s and the 40s and the terrible economic depression, he wants to make a gritty, earthy, down-to-earth film about the common experience of the common man. And he wants to know how it is the poor people are surviving. And he doesn't want to make a comedy. He wants to make a movie based on a book called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And my mind clicked, because that's one of my favorite comedies by the Coen brothers, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So this is sort of like where the Coen brothers got the idea, I think, for their movie was from this comedy I had never heard about, Sullivan's Travels. So Joel McCrea, let's start from the very beginning. The movie, it opens up, there's 2 people fighting on a train. And you know how with the James Bond movies, they always open up with a ton of action? Well, there's a ton of action. People are fighting on this train. They're trying to kill each other, and eventually they throw off one and another. They land like in a lake or a river that's next to the train as it's going down the track. And it's very exciting, a lot of action. And for 1941, it's very well done. And then you cut to, it's the end of that movie. You're watching the end of a movie now. You're in a movie film studio, and there's the 2 studio heads with the director, Joel McCrea, and now he starts talking in that 1940s witty back and forth repartee, and they're talking about how Joel wants to make this movie. It's a depression movie, and this movie is a parody of Hollywood. And I should say, even before that scene of the train, it starts off with, before the credits even start, they say this movie is dedicated to all of the clowns, the buffoons, the Montebanks, the people that make us laugh in life. And it's dedicated to people who are big fans of comedy, that value laughter and comedy and humor. And that's how it starts. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but at the very end of the movie, if there's a moral to this movie, it's that poor people, everybody on the planet, you may have lost everything, but sometimes the only thing you have left is comedy, is the laughter, is the absurdity of life, and you just have to find things in life that you can laugh at, because it's a theater of the absurd, life is, and sometimes you have to laugh, and that's sometimes all that people have left in life at the very end, is just you have to laugh. And so the movie is dedicated to comedy, and I thought this was a good film to start with a series of movie reviews on comedy. I didn't know it ahead of time, but I think this is probably the best movie to start. So now back to this film studio. We're in the film studio, and the director's talking to the studio heads, and he's telling them he wants to make this movie. It's so highfalutin, impressive expose of how the common man has to survive, and the studio heads, and a little sex, right? And you're going to have a little sex, right? So you start off with action where people are fighting, and next thing you're talking about adding a little sex to the movie. So you automatically get people involved in watching the movie. It piques people's interest, and then the movie starts to drag just a little bit after Joel leaves the studio. But once he hooks up with Veronica Lake's character, and she buys him breakfast, and every scene where Veronica Lake is with Joel McCrea in the movie, it's better. Each of them by themselves aren't that quite as interesting as the chemistry. I found out later, I didn't know anything about the movie or even the characters, but after I finished the movie before I went to bed, I did some research. And Veronica Lake, she was 6 months pregnant when she made the movie. She didn't tell anybody. I understand that some of the people were furious with her. She wasn't a popular actress with Joel McCrea. He was asked if he wanted to make another movie with her, and he said that life is too short to make another movie with Veronica Lake. But there's always two sides to every story. From what I understand, she got a bad rap about being a very difficult person to work with, but she liked working with the director so much, she gave him a watch that was engraved like the best director I've ever had or something. So she got along well with the director. So anyway, they're out there traveling around, and he's trying to become knowledgeable about the plight of the common man, and he's doing this solely because he wants to make a movie that's gritty and down to earth about, oh brother, where art thou? It's about this book that's really popular at the time, which is a fictional title. Fictional book doesn't exist. And they have different experiences. There's one scene, he's in prison, and the prisoners get to go see a movie. I would have to say the scene where Joel first meets Veronica Lake at the diner is one of the very best scenes in the movie, and the scenes that take place when he's in prison right near the end of the movie are some of the very best in the movie, I think. In fact, it sort of turns a page once he gets to the prison part. It was unexpected, and it gives a totally different atmosphere to the movie. It was really, it was like, I wasn't expecting this, and they go to a church, and the church is a black church. And I'm thinking, oh no, it's 1941. You know, it's just like they're going to ruin the movie by doing something, and it's going to be racial, and people are going to say, oh no. And it was surprisingly respectful and normal scene with the prisoners, which were, there was black and white people amongst the prisoners, but it was an all black church, and they sat down and they watched Mickey Mouse cartoons, and it was a very respectful, memorable part of the movie. I can't point to any specific part of the movie that was laugh out loud. That just like I remember watching the movie Something About Mary. There's like 5 or 6 scenes like I just broke out laughing, and I can still remember. But I can't point to any specific part of the movie Sullivan's Travels that was so funny you had to go back and watch it. This movie was rated very highly. It was put on the Library of Congress National Registry of Culturally Significant Films. I think it's a good film. I would give it a thumbs up. I think on Rotten Tomatoes something it gets like 7.8 or 8.1 or something. It's rated pretty high. I'm not going to rate it really high. I mean, I would give it like a 7 or 8 out of a 10. But probably closer to 7. It's the scenes. I wasn't that impressed by Joel McCrea. He's extraordinarily handsome. The scene at the beginning, I mean, the film, the camera loves him, but I didn't have a lot of sympathy for his character. It didn't. I didn't care that much about his character, although Veronica Lake's character was very engaging. The minor characters, there's a few of them I do remember from other films from a long time ago, like Pangborn. He's a wonderful character actor. I think he's been in like 100 movies, and so, like the studio the executives, they were excellent. But the guy who was the prison guard or in charge, he was a very forceful character, very vivid. It was like he wasn't acting. I was surprised. When I see it again, I'm glad I saw it. And I would recommend other people watch it, but it's not going to be in my top list of comedies, even though it's listed as culturally significant, and it was good, but it wasn't like you got to put down your sandwich and let's go watch this movie. It's not like when Something About Mary came out, I went and got my brother to see it. I drove over to his house and took him to the theater because it was that good. But I wouldn't do it for this movie. But would I recommend people watch it? Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend anybody watch it again. I'm going to be doing more comedy video or movie reviews about films that I've seen multiple times and would recommend it to other people, but not necessarily this one. So, but yeah, check out Veronica Lake. She was pretty cool.
You see the symbolism of it? Capital and labor destroy each other. It teaches a lesson, a moral lesson. It has social significance.
Who wants to see that kind of stuff? It gives me the creeps.
Tell them how long it played in the music hall.
It was held over a 5th week.
Who goes to the music hall? Communists.
Communists? This picture's an answer to communists. It shows we're awake and not dunking our heads in the sand like a bunch of ostriches. I want this picture to be a commentary on modern conditions, stark realism, the problems that confront the average man.
But with a little sex.
A little, but I don't want to stress it. I want this picture to be a document. I want to hold a mirror up to life. I want this to be a picture of dignity, a true canvas of the suffering of humanity.
But with a little sex.
With a little sex in it.
How about a nice musical?
How can you talk about musicals at a time like this, with the world committing suicide, with corpses piling up in the street, with grim death gargling at you from every corner, with people slaughtered like sheep?
Maybe they'd like to forget that.
Then why do they hold this one over for a 5th week at the music hall? For the ushers?
It died in Pittsburgh.
Like a dog. What do they know in Pittsburgh?
They know what they like.
If they knew what they like, they wouldn't live in Pittsburgh.